everyone, I'm Film Club reporter Archie. A big welcome to Film Club Live. Hope you enjoy the show.
Hi, and I'm Rico from the team here at Film Club. Big hello from me too.
Today we're taking a magical trip into the world of author Roald Dahl and his amazing imagination.
It should be quite a trip, don't you think, Archie?
Yep. And helping us to find out more about Roald Dahl, his stories and who he was, we have Katie Harris from the Roald Dahl Museum.
And we've also got Justin Johnson, children's programmer at the BFG. Oh no, it's the BFI, isn't it?
It is the BFI, very good.
Hi there, guys. You all right? Good stuff. So if you've got anything you'd like to share with us, or you want to ask a question to Katie or Justin, it's easy to contact us. And the details of how are all running along the screen now. We'd also like to say a big hello to lots of schools. Thank you for all your questions, guys. Hurst Park Middle School, they've got a burning question which we'll come to later. Also big hellos to St Mary and St Peter's Church of England Primary School and Wellington Primary School too. Hello everybody.
Hello.
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 And East Church Primary School, who have been sending tons of questions, as well as Manor Green Primary from lots of members. So thanks very much for that and hope you enjoy the webcast. Katie and Justin, we have a question from Ryan at Manor Green Primary. Did you enjoy Roald Dahl books as a child?
Should I start off?
Yes, I'll start. Yes, I absolutely loved Roald Dahl books. I grew up on them and I used to read them all the time. School holidays was what I would do. And I just couldn't put them down. And even today, I'm still reading his books, obviously with work. I get paid for it now.
And I'm a little bit older than Katie, only a little bit. And some of the later books hadn't arrived by the time I was a child, but certainly Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, James and the Giant Peach were absolutely, essential. And in fact, as a child, I spoke to Roald Dahl on the telephone once. I rang him up and asked him to open a fate. I just got the telephone number out of the book. I lived not that far from him. I rang him up, and he was absolutely horrified, I think. And I said, "Oh, hello, Mr. Dahl. I wonder if you'd open our fate." He's like, "Oh God, how ghastly! Hateful fate! Oh, nasty!" And he was actually horrified that I rang him up. So, but he was a fantastic man.
Great stuff. So we've got a clip, haven't we, Archie? Actually.
Yeah.
Let's get going. Some of the stuff. First clip is from, as we mentioned before, the BFG.
Our first clip is from the BFG, our favourite big friendly giant.
Roll the clip.
Here is from Scotland. Is you ever seeing such delumptious fizz?
But look, it's fizzing the wrong way. The bubbles are going down instead of up.
Of course, Bubbles is not going up.
They do where I come from.
Bubbles going up is a flush bunking disastrophe.
Why?
If Bubbles is fizzing upwards, they will be coming out in a fountain-belted burp.
Yes. That's all right, isn't it?
All right, it's catastrophe. Giants is never doing it.
But if bubbles are going down, well, they might come out somewhere else.
Yes, you is exactly right.
Well, that would make a much worse noise, wouldn't it?
A whiz popper.
What?
A whiz popper. It's a sign of happiness.
A fun film with a huge giant. Katie, I'm 150 centimetres or so. Is it true that Roald Dahl himself was nearly 2 metres tall? Do you think that's why he wrote about giants, because he was a giant himself?
Yes, Roald Dahl was very tall. He was 6'5" and 3/4 inches, which is pretty big. And he was really proud.
Norway, don't they?
Yeah, they certainly do. He was really proud of the fact that he was that tall as well. The 3/4 especially, he used to write that on his passport.
I know I would be that. I'll be proud if I was that tall, because I feel like I'm a giant crawling over everybody.
Yeah.
Maybe he will. Maybe he will one day.
Yeah.
I know my brother is, because he's about 5'8" or something. He's really
Right,
tall.
yeah.
So tune in for next webcast week and you'll see the giant Archie. We've got a question for you, Justin, from Joseph at East Church Primary. Thanks very much, Joseph. And this is, what has been your favourite Roald Dahl film?
Do you know, there are two really, and in fact it's the same two books I talked about before. There's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, which was made in 1971, and it is such a classic film. I don't think it's necessarily exactly the way that Roald Dahl has seen it, and particularly the way that Willy Wonka was portrayed, but it is such a magical film. It's so charming, and it's got so much in it. And I think James and the Giant Peach as well, that combination of the live action and the stop motion animation, and it still keeps kind of some of the it's a really the mean aunts in it and the fantastic insects, and it's such an amazing and unusual tale, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. We'll be having a look at some of the mean aunts later, actually. So it's interesting you mentioned that one.
So you prefer the old Charlie and Chocolate Factory, not the new one?
Do you know, I think I probably do prefer the old one, actually, and that may be because it's a bit nostalgia, because when I was a child, that was the one I grew up with. And as much as I love the new one, and I think Tim Burton is a great director, I think probably my heart is still with the old one. I'm
with the old one as well, because when I was young, when I watched it, it kind of freaked me out a bit. Because they were bright orange.
They were fantastic Oompa Loompas. Because in the newer film, it was the same actor playing the Oompa Loompa, and they just used him lots of times using computer-generated stuff, didn't they?
Yeah.
Oompa Loompas need work, you know.
That's true. All those Oompa Loompas out of work because of that decision.
Yeah.
Did you actually know that that movie was actually in one of Nestle's actual factories, but it didn't have edible grass and hot chocolate rivers and stuff?
What, the new film was it?
Yeah, the new one.
Because in the old film was filmed at Munich Gasworks, so from one extreme to the other.
Cool. Justin, why do you think his stories make such good films?
I think because they're really, really good stories, as you just said. So actually the plot is there, they're not building around anything, it's a really good foundation. And the characters are so interesting. They're not all lovely and nice and saying lovely things to each other. There are some really nasty characters in there, and there's some really, sort of unusual ideas. I mean, the fact that James's parents get eaten by a rhino and the aunts don't like, I mean, usually in most children's films, if you're an adult, you love children, everybody's, happy, and I just love the fact it's all a little bit twisted, isn't it? It's a slightly different world.
Yeah.
The macabre world of Roald Dahl.
And so, Katie from East Church School would like to know, did Roald Dahl enjoy watching the film version of his books?
All right, that's a good question. Katie, hello. Well, I think it's very difficult for any author to see their work done by someone else, and I'm not sure Roald Dahl was always really comfortable with his books being made into films, but we know that he definitely enjoyed seeing them, and it encouraged more people to read his fantastic books, so I think something positive is always going to come out of that.
I'll interrupt you a moment. I was going to say, he did work on Chichity Bang Bang, the film, as well, didn't he?
He did, yeah, and the screenplay for the James Bond film You Only Live Twice, so he did have quite a lot of input in those screenplays, and he enjoyed them.
Might explain like the child catcher, the darkness of that.
Yeah, very dark character.
I prefer the books to his movies, because with the books like the BFG here, instead of having to see the giants in the movie, you get to make up what you want them to look like.
Exactly.
Your imagination.
Your imagination is very powerful. I think that's the thing.
Definitely something to remember. And as BFG, as the other films we're discussing, all on the Film Club website. Remember, if you want to put a question to Justin or Katie live, just tweet in or email us, and we'll do our best to get that one answered for you.
Katie, his books often had really nasty characters. Why was that?
Well, Roald Dahl always said that to have a book full of nothing but nice people, it would be very boring. Yeah. So he wanted to make sure there were a few nasty people in there. And also, they contrast a lot with really good people, and it really brings out the goodness in those characters. So you've got to have some nasty and good thrown in. And a lot of his bad characters often get their comeuppance at the end, if you think about Miss Trunchbull and the witches and people like that. So, yeah. Yeah,
we've got a couple of examples here, some nasty characters in our next clip. We've got Aunt Spyker and Aunt Sponge. Boo. They are proper Boo His characters from James and the Giant Peach. And here's the clip now.
Spyker! Look! A peach!
A what?
A peach! There, on that branch.
Why, that old tree's never had so much as a blossom on it, let alone a... Well, I'll be blowed. There really is a peach there. A nice big one, too.
How can we get it?
The boy.
Now, you be a good little boy and climb up there and get that peach for your dear aunties.
Can we eat it?
Of course we can. We'll share it. Me and your Aunt Spyker. Start climbing.
Wait, what? What? What?
It's growing. The boy.
No, the peach, you idiot. Look.
Oh, come down.
But I won't get hurt.
Climb down.
What a peach. What a peach.
Look, Spyker. It's still growing.
I'm not blind, you dolt. I can see it myself.
Olivia from Manor Green Primary would like to know, do you think any of Roald Dahl's stories are true?
Okay. Well,
Leave it open to both of you to...
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he wrote some autobiographical stories, didn't he? I mean, I think Boy was about his childhood, wasn't it?
Yeah, and particularly his adventures and all the pranks that he used to play.
Yeah, and in his adventure, like, going solo, we've got the book here, that's about him when he was a secret spy.
He was in the RAF, wasn't he?
RAF?
He was
Something like that.
Yeah, he was a fighter pilot in the RAF, yeah. I think he takes a lot from the experiences he had, and he tends to exaggerate the truth quite a bit and embellish things, which makes for a really good storyteller, which is what he is, so, yeah.
Justin, Abby from East Church Primary would like to know, and I think the whole world would like to know, were there any ideas that Roald Dahl had that were not turned into books or films?
I mean, there's the original, I mean, maybe Casey better answer this, but there's the original 3 parts to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, weren't there?
Yes, there was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, there was The Great Glass Elevator, but there was actually a 3rd book which was called Charlie in the White House, which was never complete. And it's all about Charlie visiting the American White House, meeting the president, but that's never been complete, and it probably won't ever be released because Roald Dahl was such a perfectionist with his work. He didn't want it to be handed over to the publishers till it was just right.
So there is evidence of some of that still.
Yeah, we have his early drafts and work.
Wow.
Oh wow, that's good.
Did he leave anything behind saying I would like my work protected or anything like that?
I'm not too sure about that, but I think it's his wishes. Like, we know that he spent such a long time rewriting, editing his work. I mean, Matilda took him 2 years to write, and Charlie, the original Charlie, was 6 different versions of that book before it's finally complete. So knowing how he worked, I think it's better to just leave it as it is.
Yeah, clearly perfectionist. One of the books actually, which feels as if it's got a bit of mythic Norway in it, because obviously he grew up in Norway, is Fantastic Mr. Fox. But although he's actually played by George Clooney in the film, so you might not see that in this clip. But see what you think.
Ash, are you mad at me? I understand if you are, and I'm sorry. I wouldn't have ever involved your cousin if I'd realized you'd feel this way. It was only ever just because he's kind of a natural. I mean, hey, look at him dig! Anyway, I'm sorry if you're feeling...
You know what? I'm gonna just put dirt in my ears. Yeah, that's better. I can't hear you now, but keep talking.
One of Film Club's favourite films and always fun to watch. Thanks to Justin, I've got my own copy here. Roald Dahl seems to have a love of mythical creatures and bugs. Where do you think the characters in his stories came from?
I think he just looked for everything in the regular outside world in the way that, you know, I mean, I don't know for sure how the idea for, say, James and the Giant Peach came about, but I'm sure it probably just was a case of just looking around, seeing things around
apple
him.
tree, looking at an apple outside in his garden, yeah.
In fact, it was going to be, and originally it was going to be cherry, I think. It was going to be James and the Giant Cherry.
Yeah, it went through a number of changes.
Peach, a lovely big sort of squashy peach in the end. A bit bigger, but more insects in there, can't you?
Yeah.
Do you think he got any ideas for some parts of books from other books that other people have wrote?
Oh, that's a very good question. I'm not sure about that one.
I think we've been stumped, haven't we?
That puts on the spot, does that?
That is a good question.
I mean, the only thing I was thinking of, which isn't directly associated with that, was Gremlins we didn't talk about before.
Yeah.
Which was not the Gremlins film that you know now, but there was a film that he was writing and working with Walt Disney on, and it was going to be this Gremlins project, and that never ended up seeing the light of day in the end. But there's lots of work done. They had all the pictures and it was visualised, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think majority of his writing came from his experiences. I mean, he was a big reader, and we know that he grew up reading like Beatrix Potter and you know, Bronte's and all of those books. So
the art storytelling was definitely there. And
and I think that's how you become a good writer, is by doing lots of reading. So he definitely did that.
Absolutely. Hopefully the films will bring a lot of people back to the books as well. We've got a question about your role really at the museum there, Katie. Kira, age 6, from St Mary's and St Peter's Church of England School, would like to know, what sort of things do you have in your museum?
Okay, hi Kira. If you ever get to come to the museum, it's in Great Missenden, it's brilliant. You can smell some chocolate doors when you're there. You can find all about Roald Dahl's pranks. We have a particularly favourite one is the mouse that Roald Dahl left in a gobstopper sweet jar. And you can also see Roald Dahl's writing hut, where he wrote all of the books that we're going to mention today. And it's a really special place. So it's the real thing just there, so you can have a look. And there's some Wonka gates as well, just to throw in for good measure.
Yeah, we were going to talk about his office, but obviously he liked to call it a hut. But he had a couple of quirky things in there, didn't he, as well? I think we've got some pictures of those things that he liked to keep in there.
Okay.
Did we have something, a part of his hip?
Roald Dahl's hip bone, yeah. Roald Dahl had to have an operation when he was slightly older, in his 60s, and had his hip replaced with a metal one. So when the surgeon removed the bone, he commented that it was one of the largest that he'd ever seen, because we know that Roald Dahl was so tall. And because Roald Dahl was quite proud of this fact, he asked the surgeon if he could keep it, and he kept it on his hut table, so we could look at it every day to get inspiration, perhaps for some really nasty characters.
He liked Kit Kats. He liked to take a break, didn't he, as well, Archie?
Yeah.
Because we've got, is it a giant roll of Kit Kat foil?
Yeah, the chocolate wrapper ball. Yeah, if you imagine you've eaten a Kit Kat and you've got that silver foil wrapper and you scrunch it all up into a very small ball, you'd only have one about this big. But Roald Dahl liked to eat a lot of chocolate, and so every time he did, he collected that silver foil wrapper and he added another layer to the ball. So eventually it was the size of a golf ball.
Do you think that's where he got the idea of having Charlie in the chocolate factory from?
Possibly, but we think the idea actually came from when Roald Dahl himself got to be a chocolate taster for Mr Cadbury when he was very young, when he was at school.
I wish I was doing that.
It'd be a good lesson, yeah. All the boys were sent a box. Inside the box were 12 different chocolate bars, and they had to eat a bit of every chocolate bar and then give it a mark out of 10, and then that was sent back to Mr Cadbury, and all that information was collected, and the favourite one would be the one that they would think about creating in the factory. So when Roald Dahl was very young, he thought to himself, maybe I could invent chocolate bars for Mr Cadbury one day, and gave him an idea for Charlie in the chocolate factory.
Brilliant. You need to get yourself some work experience at Cadbury's, Archie.
Yeah.
Children are always so amazing within his books. We have Charlie in Willy Wonka, James Danny, who is champion of the world, but one of the most popular characters is Matilda. Beware, child genius having fun with chaos.
I can't get her off. I can't get her off. I can't get her off.
Oh, just a minute. I'm gonna get this hat off. I'm pulling it. I think your head's swelled up really bad.
You put on the skin.
Oh, you're such a baby. Stop it.
5 is a fuse to the head.
5 is a fuse? What is that supposed to mean? Give me
Welcome back, everyone. We've got another question flying in from Olivia from Eastchurch, and she'd like to know, why did Roald Dahl make Matilda magic and not just have her as a normal girl?
I mean, everybody loves to have magic powers, don't they? I mean, there's nothing more exciting than having sort of fantastical powers that you wouldn't normally have. What do you think, Archie?
I think the reason why he made it magical was so that people actually wanted to read the book instead of having a life about a normal girl, instead having a life about a girl who actually has special powers and stuff and different abilities to other people.
It makes her really special, doesn't it?
Yeah.
She's magic. Yeah.
So on to another one about Roald Dahl and books.
Yeah. And Justin, we know you're a big fan of Roald Dahl, so if there are any books by Roald Dahl that you would like to see as a film, which would they be?
Yeah, I'd love to see. I know it's been a very successful stage show. I'd love to see George's Marvellous Medicine. I think that'd be great on the big
That's a great
screen.
one.
Yeah, it's one of your favourites, isn't it?
Yeah, the book's amazing. I love how he just gets all the stuff, everything.
Yeah, that would be very good.
Mr. Bodiam, the film club leader at East Church, would like to see a film version of Boy.
Yeah, that would be good too, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. All the pranks he got up to.
I don't really know what Boy is about. Is it about him when he was young or something else?
Yeah, it's all about his childhood and growing up, and all the terrible times he had at school and all the fun times he had as well. Particularly.
I remember reading about the bit that sticks in my mind is the adenoids and getting those out. Because remember when my little brother had the same thing done and we made him read Boy beforehand. Great stuff. So.
It's been great talking to you both. A big Film Club Live thank you to Katie Harris from the Roald Dahl Museum and Justin Johnson from the BFI.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in, guys. It's been brilliant. Also, you can visit the Roald Dahl Museum in Great Missenden, where the great man lived. It's open Tuesday to Sunday and bank holiday, so why not give it a go this weekend?
On tomorrow's Film Club Live, we have the team behind Chimpanzee from the makers of African Cats. Could I just say that I really would like to see this film, because it is all about my favourite animal, so don't miss it or check it out on the website later. You can find all our Film Club Live shows on our website for viewing whenever you want.
Also, don't forget to check out all our competitions on the competitions page. We've got some cracking All-Stars goodies and an Instagram competition where you can send in pictures of your film clubs in action via Instagram to win some great prizes as well. That's all for today. In the meantime, thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.